a journey, man.
Welcome to What the Podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm John.
And together we're
Ryan and John.
What an intro. That's how you know.
Every week.
We are off to a great start.
In case you haven't noticed, we've got a new backdrop here.
Oh, that's right. You're calling attention to the backdrop. So if you're listening on Spotify or
Definitely going to want to watch the video
slide over to
podcast.
YouTube, check this out.
Wow.
listening.
This came
This is
in.
from you.
This was my gift to you.
And
really to the studio.
This is the studio,
And every other
yeah.
podcast that records in here. Because now they're officially
Growing Pains
sponsored by
Annie.
LaCroix.
Annie's going to love it.
She's really going to do
She's
it.
not a video podcast, though.
Well, that's
Well, whatever.
Yes, we got a new backdrop. Just got
It
that
looks
in
great,
this week.
and I really appreciate you getting this.
Yeah, of course. You know what? We're just adding to the studio, kind of keeping the, the spice. We got
Keeping the vibe going.
The visuals, you know.
Yeah, and if it's really it's a
That's
visual podcast, so you should be watching on YouTube. You should not be
Yes.
listening. But if you want to listen, that'd be great too.
If you caught last week, you know that we are knee deep in Black History Month, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we doing next or no?
Oh, we'll get to that. We're going to start with this.
Right. I missed the pre-show and meeting. My bad.
Oh, wow.
It's fine.
Off
He's not
to
reading the
a rocky
email.
start here, but that's fine.
I'm sorry.
We're just rolling with it, John.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Hey, it's okay. It's going to be all right. This week, Cara has the floor talking about an influential Black American.
I do. This week we are talking about Misty Copeland.
Okay.
She was the very first African-American woman to be promoted to principal dancer in the 75-year history of the American Ballet Theater in 2015.
Whoa.
And
Whoa.
in any major international company, she was the first African-American ballet dancer to be in a principal company.
In the year 2015?
In 2015.
Wow.
Dang.
She,
Yeah, let's talk about that. We'll circle man.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead,
continue.
Cara.
She was born in 1982, so she's 38. She didn't start dancing until she was 13, and she was considered a prodigy. Because when you're a ballet dancer of that status, you normally start when you're 3.
Wow.
So she started at 13 and was considered a prodigy. From there, by 2000, she had joined the studio company of the American Ballet Theater. She was a soloist in The Nutcracker. After being named principal dancer, she became an international star, and she was in On the Town on Broadway.
Wow.
And then the same year that she became principal dancer in 2015, she was named by Time as one of the 100 most influential people of the world.
Dang.
Wow.
And then just to shoot off of all of that, in 1795, the first ballet shoe was made. So they were made predominantly pink because that matched your skin color. And back then, it was predominantly white ballet dancers. It took 220 years, 2019, to have the first line of brown and bronze colored shoes ever.
Whoa.
Wow.
So in 2019,
Used by the ballet company or?
used by anyone.
Wow.
Well, just I imagine
In general.
produced, right?
'Cause
made.
Wow.
Ballet shoes are predominantly pink,
Uh-huh.
and ballet dancers of any kind of color, they would pancake their shoes a certain kind of foundation because when your ballet slippers match your skin color, it makes your line prettier. But it took from 1795 to 2019 when a London-based ballet company for Black and Asian dancers, Ballet Black, partnered with a ballet shoe manufacturer, Freed, and they created the first line of brown and bronze colored shoes
Wow.
Amazing.
only 2 years ago. So it took that long to just have
Wow.
one line of different colored shoes.
So it's exactly what we were talking about last week. It seems like when you're talking about Black history, that history is being made, years and years and years ago. We think about the civil rights movement. It's like, oh, that was in our history, our nation's history. That was a long time ago. But just reflecting on that was in 2015. She became the first African American ballet dancer in this company. It's it's just incredible to see the path that she's carving for herself and just the amazing achievements that she has done, but just the significance of that. The timeline is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, and she's 38 now. So in 2015, that was 6 years ago, she was 32.
Wow.
So it took from age 13 to 32 to be able to be a principal dancer.
Wow.
That's like the main thing, is that she was like the principal dancer of the American Ballet Theater.
Wow.
You know, it's things that you don't really think about. Like, you know, I thought it was kind of funny when there was like this Crayola released this like box of crayons that was like, oh, true skin colors. And you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, of course, but you know, you don't think about, it's like things like that. Like, oh, there was a shoe that was made for so long because it went with white skin color. And you're like, okay, no, like nobody had considered the fact that like not all ballerinas might be white.
Right.
You know, like,
yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's crazy too, because just like reflecting on that, like that's just a lens on like our world too. Like every standard in the US has been centered around white people and white standards.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that finally things are changing somewhat in small ways, like even something like ballet shoes, it's like that, like obviously that should have been done years and years ago.
like
but,
something you wouldn't even consider like is,
But if
you know,
you're-
skewed in a certain way,
Right.
is like, yeah, like that
And
is.
then how
But if
long
you're a Black
have
American-
these girls and guys been having to pancake their shoes,
Right.
and have to literally ruin their ballet shoes by putting all of this makeup on it, and then have to keep redoing that or getting new shoes because they get ruined.
And now it's this level of like just adding representation that should have been there
Yes.
all along.
Yeah.
You know, like we were missing on that, like
Right.
exactly what you said.
And I think for us too, as white people, it's like maybe those things for us are like, oh, well, duh, you know, like why wasn't that going on? But for Black Americans, they're like, finally, you know, like this has
Yeah.
been something we've been waiting for years, and this was never, you know, this was never offered to us. This was never an option. It wasn't the standard. So
I think I took a long time to reflect on this. I'm sorry.
What do you think?
Well, I think it's just so telling that there wasn't a company that made the color shoes. You know, like you know, this was clearly a problem in that community and in that like, you know, in that community of people, right?
Yeah.
And that not only did like anyone think of like this should be a normal product, but also like no one was like the mainstream wasn't actively saying this is something we can fix. And I think also it's hard to imagine, like if you're listening to this and you're white or you know, or not a person of color, like it's hard for me to imagine growing up and not having icons that looked like me. And that is so sobering to me, and I don't know why. And
Or
today,
just the tools to empower you to be
yeah,
like somebody.
And that's
Yeah.
like that's what's so cool about this segment, and like how we're doing. And I know I said this last week, but I like it's so cool about this segment is like we're using whatever circle of influence that we have at the show and as an individuals to bring these kind of people to front and center in our own lives and inherently through the show, through our platform. And I think that it's just so so important. And like I said, it is crazy that in 2015, you know, this is the first
principal dancer.
Yeah, principal dancer that's of color, right?
Yeah,
Of
and the
like
big thing
hundreds of
is that
years.
it was the American Ballet Theater, but it was the first. She was the first principal dancer internationally to be the principal Black main dancer.
Crazy.
And that's what kind of puts a mute on the argument that America like is fine or we've made progress. Like,
Oh, yeah.
their progress has been made, but like the fact that these firsts are still happening.
And like with the shoes, it wasn't even an American-based company that made the shoes. It was
Yeah.
a London-based company. So it's
just
crazy.
it's, you know, it's like it's fundamentals. Like we need to now cross, you know, bridges that should have been crossed a long time ago.
but Misty Copeland paved the way.
Misty Copeland.
Absolutely,
She's
she did.
Totally starting that whole revolution.
So we had Shirley last week, who was the first woman and a person of color to serve in Congress, right?
Right, and to run for president.
And to run for president. And then this week we have Misty, who's the first principal dancer,
Of the American Ballet, right?
American Ballet.
And
American Ballet
You
Theater.
kind of touched on it too, like just her representation alone.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like just that alone is just so incredible that now there are girls and boys all around the world that see her and her success and maybe they feel like now, oh, I can do the same thing because she looks like me and I feel represented in a new way. You know,
And she's amazing.
so
she?
talented.
When I was in college, we watched videos on her for like homework in ballet, and she's amazing.
I know
it's like,
nothing about
wow.
ballet. I need to.
Oh,
study
it's
it.
hard.
Yeah, for sure. We'll
do
watch that video
We'll do a ballet
after.
video.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Cara.
That was
And
our
we
plan.
we're gonna move along because we also have another special thing happening
Oh, yeah,
in
we
the
gotta really
studio
move
today.
along. We gotta really
Olivia,
move
if you
along.
could help me out with the
Yeah, can
screen
you give
here.
me like a piano drum
Yeah,
roll?
Oh, here we go.
Ooh.
Introducing
There she is. Jasmine Ruiz.
What's up, girl?
Jasmine. I didn't even introduce
Yeah,
her.
wow.
She is
We got so excited.
the junior producer.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? The junior producer at Raindrop.
Yes.
Raindrop, the
not to
production
mention,
company.
She's a longtime friend of all of ours.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Not to brush
she's,
over.
and if you're listening to this, she's zooming into our studio today to comply with all the things that are going on in the world.
Dude,
with
we're making
COVID.
huge strides in the world of technology
We
and
are.
podcast.
But we're happy to have you here, Jasmine. How you feeling?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys. This is my first time, and I'm super excited. A little nervous, but
That is
You guys have been
okay.
friends
I
for
was
forever.
like completely stiff the first episode of this show. And
He's learning.
And I'm still nervous, so it's fine.
I'm kidding.
I don't know.
I'm
John does a
nervous
lot
too.
more podcasts than I do. So.
There's an element of this virtual stuff that makes me nervous.
Yeah.
The interviews part, not so much. but-
Yes. Jasmine, before we start asking you about your awesome
Can I do the
everything you
pitch
do.
today?
What's that?
Can I do the podcast?
You wanna do it?
Well, the podcast pitch. You
Oh,
can do
please.
the-
Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you don't know,
Oh, yes.
we have a partnership with Poddex. So if you go to poddex.com using the link in our bio and use the promo code WTP, stands for What the Podcast, you can get 10% off your first order. And it will support what we're doing here at the podcast. So if you know of a friend who's starting a podcast or starting an interview-based show, go on there, buy a deck, or buy them. They have merch like hats and shirts, and buy them something and use our code WTP to get 10% off your first order. Last week, went on and used our promo code to buy
Of course you did.
you something, Ryan.
Oh,
What is this?
Wow.
This is the original
Whoa.
packaging. I'm just kidding. Here you go, buddy.
Surprises.
So go ahead and open
What's
that up
this?
on air for us.
Okay. All right. Wow. This segment
like we-
completely
Like we
derailed.
mentioned, you're new to the podcasting world, and I wanted to get you a podcaster shirt.
Wow. This is really
Nice.
romantic.
And
Thank you
also,
so much.
they throw some extra stuff in there. I think there's something like I didn't buy any of that.
We got
I came
some swag.
with it,
We got
but
some swag.
That's like
Ooh.
it asked me about my podcast, little card holder, and a little sticker.
Oh, I got all the swag.
I
Wow.
know, and
This
because-
turned into a segment about me.
And
Thank you.
because I want you to know you're doing great in this, and you're
Wow.
you're brand new to it, and I wouldn't have partnered with anybody else in this. So thanks so much for
Thank you, John.
Wow.
for
This
jumping
is
on
this
the
is
train
really
and becoming
this is
a pro.
fantastic.
And
I'm a
now you're a
podcaster,
podcaster,
now.
so-
And look, with that, thank you, Poddex. Look, we're just gonna do
Right
a
into
quick
it.
question with you, Jazz, before
That's
we
why
start
I love you.
asking
You're
you
great at
about things.
transitions.
It's all you, man. It's all you. This is a question for everyone, and this is: how much would someone have to pay you to eat a live spider? How much money?
that's not that hard.
No,
How much money?
How much? That's not that hard.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, Cara, tell us your easy answer. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I can't
what
believe
kind of
this.
spider? Can we choose what kind of spider?
Nope.
No, well, yeah, we.
I'm
should
gonna
just-
say just like a regular old house spider.
Like a daddy long
I
leg?
was gonna say tarantula.
Oh, God.
Like that's like a steak dinner in regards to spiders. I'm gonna say just like a little garden spider, just like
Like a daddy long leg?
no, like just like a little,
Should I
cruising
pull
around
up
the
a
house kind of
picture or
spider.
something?
Okay, well, the spiders that cruise around my house are daddy long legs.
No, little. Okay,
She's being so specific.
okay.
make it daddy long
Kara,
legs.
it's gonna be a daddy long legs.
Okay,
How much money?
$100.
Are you serious right
Yeah.
now? Are you kidding me?
My head goes to a higher price because I want to make money out of it.
Right,
Because I don't feel like it would be that hard to.
No.
actually
That's
eat
what
the
I'm
spider.
saying.
right.
Like I would,
It's a
I
lot.
would do it for like hardly anything, but I'm gonna put a big price on it because I want the money.
That's
Right.
the entrepreneur we like.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna say a reasonable a
Oh,
reasonable
go ahead,
price.
Charlotte.
A reasonable price sounds to me like $250.
Are you kidding
Wow.
me?
That's
Are you
$250.
actually kidding me?
That's high.
Are you actually serious?
That's
You guys
high.
are going high.
You said $100.
I literally,
$100.
I would not do it for $1 million. I
You
would
wouldn't eat a
not do
spider
it.
for $1 million?
No,
You
there's
wouldn't
no
set
question.
yourself up for a successful future to eat
I would do
one
it-
spider.
I would do it for $2 million.
Okay, that's. I mean,
Okay,
you
what
would
about,
do it
what
for
about
$1 million.
a dead spider?
I'm learning so
What
much
if it was
about
dead?
I would spend no.
You'd
Yeah,
spend money, too.
I would
I
spend.
would buy a dead spider to eat. No, I would probably. Yeah, I'd probably. I think the fact that it's alive creeps me out.
It'll be dead in one bite.
But you're also taking the life of a spider. So think about that.
I do that every
I do
single
that
day.
every day. Yep.
Okay. well,
Jasmine, what do you think?
You're real sorry.
How much?
I'm gonna have to go with like a couple million here. I mean, if there's
Yeah.
no limit,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna set myself
Yeah.
up, pay some college loans off. You know,
It's true.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
That's right.
but realistically,
I guess it doesn't
like,
say like you have to barter. Like just how much would it cost?
Yeah, if someone was like, "Oh, I'll give you any amount of money to eat a live spider," then yeah, I'd go in the millions. But if they were like, "I'm not giving you more than
Right.
this,"
That's what I think. You have to like barter. Like, okay, what's the most I'm willing to pay you to eat a
Well, that's
spider?
why I said tarantula, because I think that's like the one that would make it really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like a spider like a tarantula would be like, that would where my price would be
I'd say
higher.
$500.
Oh
For
my
a
gosh, are you
tarantula.
kidding?
You're a psychopath. Are
You
you serious?
have to be
Whatever.
insane. You
Do I
have.
can I use a fork and
have
knife?
to be insane.
Can it be like one piece at a time?
I would
Oh,
definitely.
oh my god, that's so much
disgusting.
worse.
At a time.
That is so much worse. Oh.
Well,
Like, have you ever squished a spider and you like see how much blood is on the tissue when you squish the spider?
No.
not a tarantula.
Never done an
I've
autopsy on a spider?
Never
But-
done it before.
I imagine it's a lot of blood.
Yes. Well,
God.
there you have it.
Thanks, Poddex.
Thank
for
you,
real
Poddex.
riveting question.
Thanks for nothing, Poddex.
Thanks for nothing, Pod. $2 million.
Gave us
over
an
here.
easy one
Thanks
on
for
that
my
one.
nightmares,
Um,
Poddex.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, that's it for me. What do you think, John?
Well, so I mean, Jasmine, I know we introed you, and in a very short, like this is Jasmine Ruiz, and she's a friend of ours, and she's
most
a junior
succinct.
producer. But tell us a little more about yourself, if you could, for somebody who's listening to this who doesn't know who you are, which would be almost nobody. I mean, everybody knows who you are.
Of course.
Thanks. Well, my name is Jasmine, and I'm 27 years old, born and raised in California, San Diego. And let's see, I lived in Chicago for a little bit, went to school out there, then graduated and came back. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty much it. I don't know.
You liked
That's
Chicago,
great.
didn't you?
I loved Chicago. Absolutely loved it. Getting to experience seasons was the best thing. And people thought I was
Yeah, I don't know
crazy
her.
for moving out there in the first place. They're like, why would you ever leave San Diego? But yeah, the seasons are amazing and beautiful. I didn't have to shovel snow or do any of that. Like I live downtown in a skyrise building. So I just got to go out, be in the snow and then come back in. But yeah, I was only there for a little over a year and then came back. But yeah, I loved my time there. It was awesome.
And did you say you were doing school in Chicago and you came back?
Yeah, so I transferred. I was a transfer student out there, and I studied communications and media, and then had a couple internships, did my thing, lived my little adventurous. That was like my little breakthrough thing in my early 20s, and then realized
Nice.
that I just love home and wanted to come back, and yeah.
Yeah. So if you had to choose between Chicago and San Diego, what do you have your money on?
I mean, sounds like she chose San
Yeah.
Diego.
Well, I mean, like if you like, okay, I know you chose San Diego because your family, but I'm saying like if your family went with you, what would you choose?
Here's the I would have to
Interesting.
choose San Diego. Like I love Chicago in my 20s, but do I want to raise a family there? No. Like I want,
Yeah,
I
that's what
love
we're
my
looking for.
suburb. Like that's where my mind's
Yes,
at.
right.
Like,
Yes,
I'm old
indeed.
now.
Family. She's a family
Have you
woman. I
considered-
love it.
Exactly. So like, yeah, I definitely would want to raise a family in San Diego for sure. Somewhere where there's like suburbs and a lot more sun.
So you came
Absolutely.
back to San Diego and tell us a little bit how you got involved or your journey to Raindrop, which is where you're at now, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a pretty funny story. So before I went away to college, I was performing, as you guys know, doing theater and then
We
a
know
little
you.
bit of film. And what was it? I submitted for like a commercial that they were doing at the time. So I got introduced to them as talent and I worked with them on set, loved what they did. And, you know, you're on set for a day, you meet people, and then you move on to the next thing. And that's basically what had happened. And then I went away to school, went to Chicago, did my thing out there, came back, graduated, and was kind of in this like middle place of like, okay, what am I doing next with my life? Trying to figure it out if I wanted to go to LA, if I wanted to stay. And my head was set on LA, but then at the same time, my heart was not. So I was like, that's not going to happen. Had applied to a couple places, just trying to figure out what my next steps were because I had my degree, but then my heart was still in theater and in performing. And then I saw that Raindrop had an opening, and I was like, oh my God, I loved working with them. Let me see what this is about. So I submitted, wrote in my cover letter that like I loved working with them as talent. So like on the opposite side of the camera. And I got a phone interview, went through that. The process was crazy. I went through 3 different interviews. And they brought me in. My last interview was like about a little over an hour. And then they brought me on as a PA, so a production assistant. And I was contracting. So I kind of got my foot in the door and I was like, okay, like, let's see how this goes. And then I was production assistant for about 3 months and then COVID hit. And then I was out of job.
The old COVID, huh?
Yeah. So then it was kind of back to the drawing board, but also like, okay, I got some time to just rest, I guess, and enjoy whatever I could find, like the positive side of COVID, I guess. And then they brought me back on in July. And then after a month of contracting again, they brought me on full time and offered me a full-time position as a junior producer. And that's where I'm at right now.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
kinda
so
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's just about like getting your foot in the door and you know, making those connections. And
People always ask me, they're like, what is it? Like, what do I need to do? And as much as like, I think a degree is so important and like knowing your craft and all that, I have to say it's about who you know. And it's crazy how far that has gotten me just by the connections and the people that I know.
That's crazy.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think it's so great that there's a company like Raindrop in San Diego because
Yeah.
mostly all those companies are in LA, and it's like,
Yeah.
we don't want to go to LA. We like San Diego better.
Yes.
Yeah, bring the business here.
It's so funny. I have to bring up right about that time when you were, you know, getting hired on, our family did a photo shoot for Raindrop.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's funny
we
is
were,
that
like, fully-
That day is the day that they offered me the full-time position when I had you guys on
Really?
set.
No
way.
Yeah, that was the same
Wow.
day. The
The
director came to
Tafolla
me.
look.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
I mean, call it fate, call it destiny.
you know, the right people. No, like I said, I told you a little bit before we started recording, like we've known each other a long time. So we're friends with a lot of your family on Facebook and particularly your mom. And your mom, I think she either reposted something that you posted or she posted it, but she talked about like what you just explained. And I was just like, that is so crazy to just kind of like go for something that you love.
Yeah.
And then kind of also just like get to the point, you know, like kind of get to the other side of it. Cause I think a lot of us, especially in the industry, you know, in the industry of like performing or anything like that, it just is so hard to kind of like find your foothold in. And people spend a lot of times, like you say, going to auditions, doing the job and then moving on. And you kind of stuck with, this is a great, and you had like the discernment too, to figure out like, this is a great company. You know, and I love, you know, being on the performing side of the camera, but like, what would it look like to go on the other side? And I wanted to ask you, like, what was it like making that transition? Because again, you were like a full-time performer, and then you like in that one experience with Raindrop, you decided to like, no, I want to go behind the camera. What was that motivation? What made you kind of make that jump?
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is now that I'm here, I look back and I've realized that in a weird way, I've been doing it all along. especially when I moved out to Chicago. I was so focused on social media, and I was so all about Instagram and taking pictures and collabing with photographers out there and different companies. I got an internship out there with a company called Chicago Grammars that was all based off of Instagram and networking and like getting our following up, and that like was my life out there. That now being at Raindrop, I'm like, that's what I was doing all along. I was scouting locations where I wanted to shoot. I was putting together outfits and angles and shots that I wanted to get for myself, but now I'm doing it just on a larger scale. So in a way, I was producing my own content and then now producing it for our clients and all these cool different companies. So yeah, it took me a while to realize that, but I sat down one day and I was like, I've been doing this all along, and it's weird, and I love it. I love being able to have more control over things, whereas a performer and actor, you're told what to do, when to do, what to say. And on this side of the camera, we're able to collaborate and really just get all these awesome minds in one room and decide things together and have more control over different projects. So, yeah.
Yeah. I wondered how much of a difference that was from like, we're producing this show and we all have our own creative projects going on the kind of, on like the commercial, like personal creator side, but you're like doing the big job, you're like doing it for somebody and as a full-time gig, So does it compare from when you were producing your own stuff to like now you're producing Raindrop content? Was there any similarities, any differences in that?
Yeah, I mean, money for sure. That's one thing. We have budget.
We know that.
Money, make it happen. And we're like, okay. And it definitely was a confidence thing for me to, that they're handing this over to me and trusting me with this. So that's one thing that I'm still learning and trying to build confidence and like knowing that I can do this and they trust me to do it. And I've done it. And I just have to keep reminding myself of that. But yeah, now we have clients that we have to please that need things, that expect things from us. It's not just so much, I want this and I want that, but making sure we're meeting the needs of our clients as well. So that's the one big thing is the budgets and learning how to do that. What else? I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Have you run into like obstacles like that where you start to see a vision? You're like, oh, this could be really great this way, but the client has different views, opinions. It's got to be a certain way. Have you run into
for sure? We
things
have
like that?
We have amazing
without
writers.
naming anyone specifically. But don't perjure yourself.
Drag them.
Yeah. Our team is amazing. I love everybody I work with. We have an amazing set of copywriters who have the most amazing ideas. And sometimes, we have clients that want to go in a different direction, and we like have to respect that and know that we are providing a service for them. And sometimes, they do trust us and they're like, hey, whatever you guys want to do, we trust you and we love that. And we're able to go with it and then kind of give them our vision. But yeah, there are definitely times where we kind of have to like reel things back and be like, okay, let's, reset, brainstorm everything and see how we can meet in the middle and figure it out. But at the same time, our clients are so awesome that they really trust us and have seen our work and see how good our work has done in the past for them or for other clients. So our clients are awesome. We haven't ran into like anything too major like that.
That's really the best, like the perfect storm, right? Is there is a budget and they give you the reins. It's like, go for it. You can make and you can just, whatever you come up with. So speaking of your team, we want to talk about this awesome feat that you guys took on and conquered, which is this Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
So we have been working with Dr. Squatch for about 3 years, maybe a little bit over 3 years now. And this came about in December of 2020, which is very late. So from what we've known, people who do Super Bowl commercials, companies who produce these commercials start in the summer, where we got told, hey, we kind of maybe want to do a Super Bowl commercial. And we were like, okay. And we were super
Let
mad
this happen.
yeah, we're like, when do you need by? So our writers started doing their thing at the beginning of December, and then the thing that was crazy was that it was always a maybe. It was like, okay, this is a potential thing. Like, we want to do this, but we don't have like the total green light, but it's a huge possibility. So we were like, okay, so we started the process, worked, our writers and the rest of the producers worked over the Christmas break, and then we shot, I want to say the first or the second week of January. And we basically didn't know it was going to be going to the Super Bowl until about the week before. So,
Oh my God.
Wow.
No way.
super crazy. We were all on the edge of our seats, just like, is it going? Is it going? Is it going? And then finally, where they're like, we got the green light, we're going. And yeah, it's been crazy. The whole process, production days were 2 days, and we shot up in North County, kind of near San Marcos, in the woodsy area. And we had a crew of about 10 people. But yeah, the process was insane, but it was a lot of fun.
So insane.
That was a quick turnaround.
And
Yeah.
10 people. That I mean, that I ended up seeing the commercial. That was pretty intense. And it
Yeah.
makes you like, I don't know why TV always makes you think there's like this full crew behind the
well,
camera.
and
but-
and Super Bowl commercial, nothing to shake a
Yes.
stick at. Like a 30-second spot is somewhere in the millions, right? Like that kind of.
Yeah, the budgets
I mean,
were crazy.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's something like that. It's
we didn't
very
actually run
expensive.
one for the podcast.
No,
but
it didn't
Super Bowl,
pass.
will.
We thought about it.
We're gonna start next summer.
I think
got
it's
the-
so
we got the
crazy how
red
it was
light.
literally like 2 months before.
Yeah.
It was, hey, we want this commercial. Because
Yeah.
whenever I've been a part of commercials, it takes like almost a year for them to air.
Right.
Like of a spot that they want. And this was like, oh my
It
God.
was so
You gotta
last
strike the
minute, and it
iron while
has
it's
to
hot,
go
you
through
know?
a bunch of companies is the other thing too. So like we internally have our meetings. We went through like the concepting project with the client, and we knew what they wanted. They saw the script. We went back and forth, did all that, and then post production is where it's like, okay, so we go in, edit everything, have our internal meetings, and edit what we think needs to be fixed. Then we send that off to the client, and Dr. Swatch comes back with their reviews and their edits. So then we go in and do that. Then when we think it's ready, it got sent to, what was it? I even wrote it down. CBS. So then CBS gives us their notes, and because they have their own set of rules.
Wow.
So
That
then,
is so crazy.
yeah, so it went to CBS. Then after it goes to CBS, it goes to the NFL, and then the NFL has their set
course.
of rules.
Oh,
Wow.
my
Yeah, it
gosh.
was crazy. Little things like James, one of the actors, has his shirt off. We needed to crop it in because it was too much skin, so we couldn't show his belly button. So they had to go in, crop it, so
No
we couldn't see
way.
his belly button. Yeah. So then after we did that, NFL signed off on it, and we were like, cool, we're all good to go. It came back to us. Then we have to resize it so that the formatting works for streaming and TV. And then,
Right.
Yeah, I wonder what that kind of
it goes to
formatting
the
is.
Super Bowl. So it's
That's
a crazy
crazy, wow.
process.
I can't believe the NFL actually had like a say in it.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Well,
it's their
that's crazy.
programming, right?
I thought it was kind of interesting that like, well, what I was going to ask is, do you know what CBS's and NFL's like rules are, or do they not make those public to you guys?
I know they have rules. I don't know them. I do know
Yeah,
that one about like the skins, like it was too much skin, so we did need to crop in that little thing. But I don't know what other specific rules there are.
Well, because like it's funny that you like send it through the channels where it was like, it would be nice to just kind of know what the rules are, so you could like
Right.
originally make the content within those bounds.
It's probably
Right.
because they changed their rules based on who's making the commercial.
Well, also they didn't
know?
know.
True. Who's got the most money?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't know that they were gonna have it in the Super Bowl until
Right.
a week or so before.
So you just
So
make
they
the
just make
commercial
what they
in
think
this
is right.
situation.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, that
I'm
makes
sure
sense.
somebody like Budweiser's got it like, you know,
Yeah.
tattooed on their
Inside,
arm.
man.
Every
They're
year.
like,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
you
We know
it's
what we're
real.
getting into here.
It's a bunch of horses, dog. We get it, right?
But so were you guys acting as like an extension
show.
of their marketing department,
I'm gonna get
or is
killed.
it more like you were contracted out as like, oh, just make the commercial for us? Like, how does that work?
So
I
we've been
guess?
working
Like
for them for 3 years now. So we do all of their photos, videos, any other commercials you may have seen from them on Hulu or YouTube is probably the biggest place. Last year, we actually won the 2020 number one YouTube ad for Dr. Squatch. Which is crazy.
By the
Yeah,
way, I have Dr. Squatch products.
Do you?
I use Dr. Squatch. Yeah.
Sponsor us.
Solid stuff.
So it's working. You've got a job. I mean,
I got hit on Instagram, so you probably were involved in that Instagram ad that I got hit on.
Whoa.
I'm
that's
sure
how I
we-
got
yeah.
it is through Instagram.
Yeah, we do
Wow.
it all.
So funny.
Instagram comes after me.
I'm
victimized
You're a victim of marketing. What?
And you know what? It works.
And I bought that.
Targeting
I'm
you.
spending money, so
I have a question
Super
for you,
cool.
Jasmine.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
here we go.
So what would be your next step from like junior producer? Would it just be like to producer, or like do you want to go up any higher
Yeah,
ranks? Or
what
that's
makes you
such
what
a-
makes you junior? Also, as a side note.
I think
There's
it's
a
just
bigger
the latter, and as you move,
Okay.
you get assigned bigger budgets, bigger clients, bigger projects, for sure. I think with Raindrop, the next step would be producer, knock off that junior part, and just dealing with bigger budgets, bigger things like that. But second part to that question is, aside from Raindrop, this week, weirdly enough, I've been thinking of what I want to do after, what's next. And mind you, I'm still brand new to Raindrop, and I want to be there for basically forever because I love them all so much. But I want to go into hosting and producing and hosting, so I have more control over something. So I want to make my way back to the front of the camera, hopefully at some point, but we'll see.
Yes, bringing back your two loves, performing and now you've got that taste of production.
Yeah.
You can turn that into being the full show.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
Yeah,
So
super
we'll
cool.
see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, as a junior producer, what are some of the things what are the bounds
As a fellow
of your
producer of
power?
content.
Oh, you're right. I'm a producer. I'm a junior producer as well. I'm a junior producer.
Assistant
of
to
junior
the-
content.
Little further down the ladder. Little further down.
But what on set, what is your role, and also what do you have control over in the sense that you're not like a writer, so you kind of receive the content and you're in charge, I imagine, of kind of producing it. But what does that look like?
Yeah, so we wear lots of different hats as producers. As a junior producer, it kind of depends what projects I get to do and ones I'm helping on. So if I'm helping a producer who's above me on a project, I'll do things like work on prop lists, work on shopping for props. Sometimes I'll go through our catalog of talent and I'll start pulling talent, gathering self-tapes, things like that. What else? The day of the shoot, I basically just assist our producer with whatever he needs. I'm just kind of there to be his, sidekick and make sure it all gets taken care of, getting people on set while they're in hair and makeup, preparing the next shot while they're shooting one thing. I'm getting, the next thing prepped, ready to go, that type of thing. And then as a junior producer who gets their own assignment, kind of the same ordeal. I will, start looking at scouting locations to see where we're going to film. We'll have meetings internally to figure out, going through the script and saying props, talent, location, wardrobe, and then we'll make our docs. I get them approved by my producer before I'm able to send those off to client, and then we get everything approved by our client, obviously, because they're the ones really in charge. And then
They're holding the money bag.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
once they give us the okay, I start, sending out contracts to talent, making sure we lock down our locations, making sure we're staying within budget, because that is the number one thing as a producer is making sure we're staying in budget, making sure, photographers, videographers have what they need, sending out call sheets. And then the day of, just making sure we're on time, that, we're getting each shot and making sure that we're not running late or too behind. And just making sure everybody's taken
So
care of.
exciting.
How typically tight is the budget on some of these projects? Down to the dollar?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Down to the hundreds of millions?
Are we taking out an ad? Are we? Are we gonna get a
I was gonna say,
raindrop?
if you're ever in need of a sarcastic duo, I think we are.
If you need
Love
a
it.
photo shoot or a video shoot of like a podcast
Yeah.
in the studio,
I know who to call.
for, just kidding. Yeah.
Yes.
How much is it to run out? I'm just kidding.
So good.
For the Super Bowl.
Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for talking to us today. This has been super awesome. Before we let you go,
Yes.
I have to ask you, what has been your favorite project to work on? If it was the Sasquatch commercial, but if not,
Dr.
Yeah.
Squatch.
yeah, Dr. Squatch. Sorry.
No, you're totally good. My favorite, I just did actually a couple weeks ago, and it was the first one I got to produce on my own, a bigger budget, and it was for a
Whoa.
hearing aid company called Lexi Hearing. I got to do it from start to finish, and it was so stressful. I remember coming out of meetings just being like, oh my gosh, because it can be so overwhelming, but I sit there and I'm just like, I love my job. I love it, and I wouldn't change it, and I love
That's
everybody
awesome.
that I work with, and every day I'm so tired, but like I feel so fulfilled and so satisfied. So yeah, Lexi Hearing, and then we just found out that it's gonna be going to normal TV, which is super cool. So that'll be fun.
Yes.
Whoa.
How exciting to see something
Yay.
like come to fruition at the end.
Yeah,
It's so
it's
awesome.
crazy. Yeah.
And before I let you go,
Yeah.
since
Oh,
I have my own turn,
we both have to let you go.
The sarcastic duo.
where, if somebody is inspired by your story or wants to know more, is there any way that they can get in contact with you? Where can they find you on socials if you're comfortable? You don't have
Oh
to
my
give
gosh,
your
yeah,
socials out.
100%.
We have a big crowd here, so you be careful.
Pretty big pull. We could help out your career a
Oh
little
my
bit.
gosh,
If you-
Yeah, no, I feel like the best way to probably get a hold of me is through Instagram, and it's just at Jasmine Ruiz, Ruiz. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Jasmine,
There it was.
I really appreciate you coming on the show today, and virtually of all things. So
Yes, our maiden voyage of the Zoom interview.
this has been a huge breakthrough for
crazy.
us, but also it's been a great time having you on the show as well.
Of
Always.
course, thanks for having me. Love you guys. All
For
four of
sure. Love you, Jazz. We'll
see
talk
you
to you
later.
soon.
you. Perfect. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Wow.
Wow.
That was so
The
exciting.
Zoom interview, man. We're breaking grounds.
I can tell you're excited.
It was good time. It was good time. Wow. I mean, Jimmy Fallon, who? I mean, come on.
Oh my
Who
gosh.
is
Who even-
Jimmy Fallon? James Corden. I'm
Please.
calling all of them out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Call them
wow.
out. Call them out.
Call him out. Call
what,
him out.
What did you think about that Super Bowl there? Did you watch the Super Bowl? Let me back up. Do you like sports?
He played tennis.
Surprising.
You a sports guy?
You know, I was thinking about last week when we were recording. I was like, we could have like done a cool thing of like, who's gonna vote for like who's voting for who? Yeah, like who's gonna like
Voting?
vote-
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. What
Vote
is it?
for your favorite
Rooting?
team.
Rooting. There we go.
Whatever. Sports terms.
Who's
I
voting
love
for
sports.
who?
Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch Super Bowl. I was working, but
Oh.
I watched just like pieces of it, like
Sure.
the halftime show. And
What'd you think of that?
It was a little chaotic. I'll be honest. I mean, here's the thing: like halftime shows, I think this is going to be controversial. So don't.
I want you
don't
to
drag me
go ahead.
I
This
don't-
is hot takes from John.
until I like find a popular act or musician or band that I like love as much as I appreciate Michael Jackson, Prince, you know, dare I say it, Beyonce, you know, like I think like
Iconic performances.
those performances are insane.
Yeah.
Like I was
Unmatched.
watching one about a documentary and it was about like a bunch of big time musicians, but they were talking about Prince, and when Prince was doing the halftime show, the day of it started raining, and they like called Prince, or I imagine it was a process. I imagine you can't just like call
Hit
Prince.
him up
Right,
real
yeah.
quick.
It was like you dial a number and then you wait and somebody calls back and it's a guy. He's like, "Here's Prince." And they called Prince and they're like, "Hey Prince, it's raining. Like we can totally cancel if you want to. Like we totally understand." You know, like super accommodating.
course.
And you know what Prince said?
What did he say?
He said, "I just need you to do one." He said, "Can you do me one thing, one favor?" And the guy's like, "Sure, of course, anything." Like what? He's like, "Can you make it rain harder?"
Oh my god.
And he went out
I got chills.
and he performed. And it started pouring rain, of course, during it. And while he was doing
That's
Purple
awesome.
Rain, and it was like
Are you kidding me?
the
It's like
chills.
the most
Yeah.
perfect.
And I was probably too young to even remember it. But watching it, that's the beauty of the internet, is you can watch everything now.
That's right.
And watching it on YouTube, I was like, this is like a legend, you know?
Of course.
And I think that's the difference between those people and the people that perform in the halftime show now. Like, I just don't view them on the same level as far as legendary.
Well, did you see?
They're pretty hit or miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it feels like every other
couple
year.
years, there's a really good one. Did you see Bruno Mars's
I was gonna say Bruno.
performance?
Yes, he was paired with a couple people, right? Or did he?
He brought a couple
He had little
people.
guests.
He
I think the
brought
Red
out-
Hot Chili Peppers came on.
Oh, really?
And they like played a song
yeah.
or something.
He
But
was
like
good.
that
So I think that's
performance,
been my favorite
that's like
one.
peak Bruno right
Yeah.
there.
That was pretty good.
So I think yes,
Gaga,
they're hit
too.
and miss in the sense
Lady
that
Gaga did that like spider thing.
yeah, but like when you even when I watch, you know what's so funny is I've weirdly been watching. I got while I was working, I was watching some stuff, and I got on some of these halftime performances, and I rewatched Prince, of course, I always do, and I rewatched Michael Jackson, but I watched Paul McCartney do his 2015. I could be wrong. So one of those years.
How was that?
And he rocks the house.
Yeah.
Like he comes out, his set is simple, it's not complicated, and he comes out with just like his band he has been like doing tours with, and he rocks the house because like his music like defined a generation.
Right. I think that's the difference for me. It's like somebody like Lady Gaga. I'm not as passionate about Lady Gaga's music. Some people are.
Yeah.
Or even like Madonna, when Madonna was on it. She's an icon, but
Yeah.
I'm not listening to Madonna's music every day. When Bruno Mars gets up there, I'm like, every song that he plays is iconic.
Yes.
So it's like,
and
with someone
just
like
his
Prince.
performance too was so
Yeah, that's
tight.
true.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
What do
I
you
can't
think about this year's The Weeknd?
I think it was good. I will say I didn't realize how many songs that I knew of The Weeknd.
Yeah, he's
Same.
got some sleepers.
and like chart toppers that I had
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that song. Like forgot. Oh
Yeah, he I feel like he produced a lot of hits that were big time movie singles and
Yes.
like in movies, and you just
But it's
associate the song with
it
the
is.
movie.
It's
I
like
don't-
the sleeper. Like you don't even think about. That dude's worth $100 million.
Wow.
Yeah,
$100 million.
And you know what's I kind of was following his thing about the bandages. You guys hear
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, how
Where-
it was a big story.
Yes, and then he released this music video where his face was all like
Jacked
cartoony.
up. Yes.
And then people like, because the music video was right after he had worn the bandages, people thought he actually got that kind of work
Yeah.
done.
Right.
And I was like, whoa! And there was this big kind of mystique around it, which I appreciate that.
Kind of
that
taking a jab
artistry.
at like Hollywood and how
Yeah.
plastic surgery is all
and I
the
appreciate
rage, right?
that side of him.
Yeah.
And I think also heard that there was maybe some sort of controversy about, a performer of color, like a lot of them were turning the Super Bowl down because of everything that's going on, and he kind of just was like, no, and he took it on. He's like, somebody has to do it.
Interesting.
He's like, if we don't, if somebody of color doesn't do it, then like they're gonna let somebody who's white do it, and then it's like that's even worse, right? And especially the climate and what's going on in the world.
Interesting.
Well, and artists, you have to pay to be
Yeah.
the performer. They
Oh,
don't
I
get
didn't know
chosen.
that.
You pay.
Oh yeah, you don't.
Well, they
pay.
get chosen,
whoa,
but
whoa,
they
whoa, whoa.
they get chosen. They vote for them, right? Don't
The
they?
Weeknd,
But I didn't know they had to pay
paid
for it.
perform
Weeknd
at the Super Bowl.
Yes. And so did Lady Gaga, so did Bruno.
Wow.
They all pay.
Why? Just for the
Yeah,
clout?
why? Okay, that's my question.
How
Why
much
isn't
is
the
it?
Super Bowl paying for that? Like, why
kidding.
the
Exactly.
NFL?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, why is Pepsi
halftime
in the
show,
halftime?
so-
What the heck? No kidding.
That was. I think that was kind of Pepsi. Kind of took. I could be wrong. This could all be wrong, but I think Pepsi kind of took ownership of that halftime show when they had that huge deal with Beyonce.
Oh.
Remember they gave Beyonce like
Right.
$1 billion or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And she was like their spokesperson, which I've never seen her do like any normal spokesperson
no,
stuff. Like I
It's
think
just to her friends. She's like, hey, you want a Pepsi?
she just has like a
I mean, that would
giant
be the
vending
best.
machine in her house, and she's like, "You want?" a
They're
Pepsi?"
like, Beyonce, do you have any
Advertisement.
Coke products? She's like, no.
Don't you dare say that word ever again. So
That's
I
fascinating.
think when I watched The Weeknd, I thought it was good, and I'm always
Yeah.
a big I'm always a big fan of a solid performance. I mean, we have
Yeah.
lip sync here every summer,
Of
so
course.
it's like I love when there's like coordination and lighting, and just
Yeah.
like it feels so magical.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like almost.
I
like a
liked when
drug.
it was like the big performance and then he went
On the
into
field.
the Hall of Mirrors kind of
Oh,
situation.
yeah.
And it was like suddenly
That
like the
was
tight
so
camera.
cool.
So many good memes from that, by the way.
Oh yeah. Like when you lose your friends in the club, or like when a toddler is FaceTiming you, and it's like all the close up of him like,
I saw one that said, guys, the Uber's here, and it was just like him like, and I was like, I've been there. And
it's just same.
I saw one that was like when your parents FaceTime you.
Yeah.
It was so
I read that it
good.
was like the whole thing of him, like the whole story was based on his new album.
Yeah.
Because I guess at I don't know if it was the MTV Music Awards.
Mm-hmm.
He came out with like a bruised and bloody face first.
Yes.
And then the second time it was bandages. The third time recently was the plastic surgery one. And then this time it was supposed to, like when he sang, it was supposed to be like you were supposed to feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And then when he came out, it was being blinded by all the fame. And like having like Hollywood and like fame change you so much that you're being blinded.
Whoa.
I
That's what
assumed
I
it was
read.
about drugs.
The vibe. No.
I just
Well, I think
figured.
the song is about drugs.
And I appreciate too the artistry.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Yes.
I don't necessarily have to understand it or get it, but I
Right.
appreciate when someone comes in, and that's what we loved about Prince, and that's what we loved about Michael Jackson. Is they had, these people had a vision,
Yes.
and they were so committed to it that nothing could knock them off course of
Yes.
what they were creating. It
And
was
it's
like
just
a
like-
vessel.
It's just art, like it's
Yes.
just
Love
weird.
it.
Like
yes.
I don't know why. I just like weird stuff like that. Like weird
So,
art is kind of
this
interesting.
is
Agreed.
This is
You
a
know?
good reason of why they pay to be part of the halftime show.
Okay.
This was Justin Timberlake, for example. He was in front of an audience of 100 million viewers
His
during
was
the
a good show, too.
2018 Super Bowl halftime show. That same day, his music sales rose 534% that day.
wow.
That's a lot.
That's why you do it.
Okay, but
That's why you do it.
You like that Justin Timberlake performance?
I thought it was good. I mean, in this, you didn't like it?
Nah.
Oh.
I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember a whole lot about it, but
Yeah, I don't
I do
remember.
like Justin, and I think what's cool about Justin Timberlake is he's a performer first and not just like a musician. So like I think he's a decent dancer. I think he's got a cool vision. Like his tours, and some of the stuff that I've watched on YouTube from his tours, he's got a very concise vision. But I'll agree. I think
All I
maybe
can
his
remember
Super
from
Bowl
that
was weak.
performance is that song from the Trolls movie,
stop.
Can't stop the feeling.
which
Well,
they
he's
play
not
at
one of
every 7th birthday party and at every Chuck E. Cheese and every day on the radio. They did for a while, at least in 2018.
I know, but again, he's one of those ones too where it has a lot of really good hits that were in movies.
Sure.
And you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's hard. So it's hard to compare in the sense to somebody like Prince or
Yeah.
Michael Jackson or even the Beatles, where like they were at such a fame level
Right.
that I don't know is comparable anymore to the world we're living in now.
Like music legends. Like you
Yes,
think
and-
about
Yeah,
these
yeah,
like
yeah.
legends.
And I think what it was is we didn't have the internet. We didn't
Oh, yeah.
have any of this. So like the sources in which the ways that you became famous were like by not only having great music,
Yeah.
but then also having the right connections for the vessel for that music to
Yes,
go out into.
yeah.
It wasn't like you could do what we're doing here, where you just kind of sit down, record, and you are responsible for just putting it on the internet and people can watch it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that
And,
becomes your audience.
And I think social media and the internet has distilled the climb that a lot of these old performers. So like people like Prince, Michael Jackson, they had to be the best
Right.
in their field because that was
Right.
the only reason they could, put out another hit, stay on their record label or whatever, right?
Well, I wonder if it's comparable because now it's like, yes, the medium's so much more accessible, but there's also so much more out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, you in the 80s you had to wait, for your favorite artist's song to come on MTV. So you're like waiting for your song, and then it's on MTV, or you have to go buy their records or their tapes, whatever that's out.
Yeah.
But now it's like you don't have to go out and buy it; you can just get it on Spotify. But at the same time, there's so many artists that are doing it. So it's like for Billie Eilish or somebody who's kind of broken into the industry,
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's still.
Still pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right. That's the part that is different.
And we've
is
talked
there's
about
more
on the show
competitors.
before, like there's no reason anybody becomes famous. Not specifically. Like it's like when the
Arbitrary.
Oh,
yeah.
when
When the pendulum
opportunity meets
swings,
preparation.
it's just like, Well, I just mean like when the time comes for that new artist to like be there.
Right.
it's
That's
like
what I mean.
Yeah, somebody was there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I want to talk about the Weeknd. Apparently, you know how he was wearing that red jacket?
Sure.
That like
Yes.
super sick like
Bougie.
sequins. Apparently, all the sequins on it were rubies, actual rubies,
Actual rubies.
on the jacket. Isn't that
Oh
insane?
my
So
God.
it
What do
was
you
so
think?
heavy. It was hard for him to lift his arms.
I think that is a part
Excess.
of the vision. I think it's
Crazy.
I think that in itself is a small detail that you wouldn't have known unless you like researched it. But I think it's a part of the vision for the Weeknd. I think the Weeknd wanted people to be like, that is ridiculous. And that is Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
And so I think it's ridiculous because I think that's what he wanted. I think that was intentional. I don't think he thought it would be cool. I think he's like, no, this is a part of the vision. People need to know, whether they know or not, this is made out of rubies. And yes, it's excessive. And yes, it's stupid, but that's Hollywood.
Because you just wish you could wear it. Like, it's
designer-
just so cool.
The designer
Like,
took 250 hours to embellish each crystal by hand. Isn't
Stupid.
that
it's just it's like
So
the
stupid.
yeah, like you said, like the Hollywood excess, like 24 karat magic, like that
Again, yeah.
clout, the
It's the
it's
Super
just
Bowl.
material stuff, but
It's
it's
the
like
Super Bowl, so I
Great
get
album,
it.
by the way.
But I do think I will give credit to the Weeknd in the sense that I think that was not just like I think this is cool, but like I
Yeah.
think this is a part of the vision that he was trying to sell to us. Like I said, we already know how much thought and
and
processing
he's a
went
good
into
artist.
it.
I like his songs.
Great.
He's got good melodies
Again,
and stuff.
but like when you're talking about the Super Bowl comparatively to other Super Bowls, I don't know. I just like
Of course.
you watch the Prince and I said even Paul McCartney, which is like, he's 1/4 of a major, generational kind of shifting in
Absolutely.
music. But even him, like you just kind of I just don't know that musicians maybe we're not seeing musicians that are cut from like the similar cloth that these iconic people were, because Paul McCartney, like he was huge and he was popular because of the Beatles, and like that was from London to the US, it was like this big thing, right?
Yep.
But I don't think that the fame ever changed Paul. I think Paul is a genuine songwriter, and it just like kind of exudes out of him, and he doesn't have a lot of choice on whether or not he's like, I'm doing this for the money. I think he's just like, I'm doing this because I love it, and I'm like born to make music, and because it shows even past the Beatles, he did his own music, not because he wanted money or he wanted more fame. He just like had more to say,
Right.
musically.
Right.
And I think the Prince was the same way. There's an iconic, mysterious Prince vault that has apparently like thousands of unreleased music that he just made and never felt the need to put out to the world.
Yeah.
That's the
Wow.
same with like Michael Jackson, right?
got the
Yeah, they
same thing in my
released-
notes, man. You know how much unproduced music is.
No, I agree. And like I said, if you're passionate about it, like if you're doing it for
Look.
the right reason, and again, I think people like Paul McCartney and Prince and Michael Jackson, like, they definitely had people who were promoting them and pushing them and that helped kind of get to their fame.
Right.
But at their core, they were musicians and they loved to do it.
Yep.
And nothing could have stopped that. Like if they never found the management or the record label, they would be producing music in some dive bar wherever they grew up.
Yeah, it shows. You can tell the difference. People who enjoy their job, essentially, enjoy making music and enjoy performing, like it shows.
I
mean-
haven't seen it in a lot of the new artists, I'll be honest.
I'm no Prince. I don't like music like Prince. But if we're similar in any way as musicians, that vault of music, it's garbage. Whole thing.
Really? You think it's garbage?
Maybe to
Well,
you.
no, I'm saying like unfinished ideas, songs that are
We
just
talked
like
about
whatever.
this with Michael Penning
No,
on
Yeah.
episode 6. Like
Dying
you have,
in music limbo.
You
Like,
have like
Hard to say.
pieces and elements that you want to incorporate, and sometimes they never get used, and sometimes they might get used in the future.
Yeah.
Or
You're
it's
right.
it's so precious that you don't want to give it to the world.
it's this song is so good
That's
they're
what
not
I mean.
ready for
Or
it.
it's so personal to you. You're like, yeah, I
That
don't
could
want to
be
share
it,
this.
too.
You
Yeah.
know, like this is about something.
I
personal
also
to me.
think it's not about the content of what's in that vault. It's the vault's existence is what speaks to me most.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
not the fact that he had whether the content's good or not. It's the fact that he like kept writing. Like
Yes.
he couldn't stop.
Yes.
Like he was writing like he was running out of time.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of the Beatles work, I took a history of rock class when I was doing college.
Whoa.
And I learned
The old
so
days.
much about the Beatles. It was insane. Like they were just like masterful. Like they just had a vision. And there was like this one song. It's pretty iconic. I can't remember the name of it, of course, but where they have like an orchestral thing.
I'm the Walrus.
Yeah, right. That song, Walrus.
I'm the Walrus?
Yeah, and they have like
Fantastic.
They have like this crazy. Everyone, they literally had like all these musicians come in, and they all had them do a scale at different timestamps and different instruments, and they said they wanted the sound to start so soft and kind of grow, and there's like this legend that like the sound tech had to turn the mics up even more to get that gradual to the point where like if you listen carefully at the end of the crescendo, you can hear the AC in the building.
Oh, that's a day in the life.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's the one.
And then like that.
Oh,
You know, at the
really?
end of that song?
Yeah,
sure.
and then it goes into Sgt. Pepper, right?
No.
Right? No?
But
does it
I
go
think
into?
that
You'd
that,
know it if you heard it.
that idea is so masterful to me, and like you're that committed to a vision that you don't care what it takes, that this is what you have in your head and in your mind needs to be reality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think about all of that,
Yeah.
and then you put it through the lens of like this Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like it's going out to millions of people. You know, there's a lot of money getting thrown around here. Sponsored by Pepsi. It's this
Yeah.
big flashy thing. And it's the most watched, you know, television event of the year. So everybody's watching it. It's like, you know, how could you not go, oh yeah, no, this is just, we're getting a paycheck. Like this is going to be epic. Like,
I mean, I think it's the it's like such a sought after performance that it's like, that's a huge deal. Like that shows, I think, if there is like a significance. Yeah. Significant moment. Oh God.
we're there.
In
folks.
like a performer's career, it's that, right? Like that is set apart as like, yeah, you made it. It's like that Madison Square Garden. Like there's certain performances that like not everybody can get, you know? And I feel like the Super Bowl halftime show, it's like, I think it's for the performer too, like just enjoying it and soaking it in.
It's just kind of interesting, you know, all of that, like,
Yeah.
you know, putting it all out there, you know, like you are taking out your heart and putting it into your music. And then like
You're selling out.
it's inherently like, this is the one where everyone's going to see it. Like you've, like what you said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's just weird. And there's so many, and even kind of going back to what Jasmine said, like there's so many filters it's got to go through, like it's got to be approved by the NFL. It's got to be approved by CBS. You know, so many people have their hands on it.
Right.
When does it stop being your
It's like genuine.
your baby?
Yeah.
Creation.
I just wonder.
And which with the Weeknd,
and I don't
it
know.
seemed like that was him, you know? Like that was his
I guess
vision.
it's about
Right.
finding a team that believes in the same vision as
Oh,
you,
yeah.
or like get your vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
I
Yeah.
can't imagine trying to do something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would not be surprised if there was every year there was a list of people who declined it.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Because
I wonder though, like
Like,
I wonder.
Like
do you
Nirvana
pass
would
that
never
up?
have done it.
Do you pass up
you
the
know,
Super
like-
Bowl? Even Nirvana.
I watched the Rolling Stones too. They were
Nirvana's
kind of a
performing
mess too,
concerts.
Let
They're
me
doing,
see,
you
let
know,
me see.
it's all about.
Well, not anymore. They're
Well, no, I
They've
mean,
been broken up.
obviously, but at the time, I'm saying.
So Rihanna
She declines it like every year.
turned down
Yeah.
the 2019
Oh, wow.
in solidarity with former quarterback Colin Kaepernick.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
so that, and then there's that whole element
That's
too.
true.
It's the
She has
social
reason for
justice
that one.
side
So
of
you're
it.
going with, you know, what the NFL is representing by choosing to do so.
But even
Yeah.
take that out, like you, as an artist, like what are you in it for?
Do your values line up? Yeah.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you just trying to like get seen by a bunch of people and make a lot of money, or are you just trying to like bear yourself? I don't know. And I
Well,
don't
it's
know if
like-
there's an answer, like if you can have it both ways or not.
I think it depends on the artist. 'Cause I think like now, if, like let's just say I had
Mm-hmm.
a music career and blew up, and like say 5 years from now,
Sure.
they're like, "Do you want to do the Super Bowl?"
Wow.
You'd sell out for sure.
I honestly, I probably wouldn't. I mean, like if my music was on the same level, like we're talking about, commitment to like, this is like I'm so committed to this is my vision. like, I think a lot of it plays into your personal life too. I think a lot of these, like you were saying, it's a legacy performance. And I think a lot of these performers maybe grew up watching Super Bowl halftimes and going, I want to do that someday. I just never did. Like growing up, I watching the Super Bowl halftime show, I was like, this is great. But it was never like, I want to do that, you know? So I think that's where maybe it comes down to like individual, you know, personal you know, stuff. Like I'm sure a lot of these artists are like, and then I would imagine Rihanna probably has, you know, she did it in solidarity, but I imagine if she's declined it all these times, she probably is like, I don't really care about Super Bowl, you know, or to some degree.
I think it is inherently connected to what was going on at the time with the NFL.
That specific situation. Yeah.
I want to talk about, I think the highlight for me was seeing her perform before the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I got emotional watching. Did you see that performance, John?
This her artist? H-E-R.
I don't know a lot about her, but
she's, well, first of all, her.
She's incredible. Gotta check out her.
Her Tiny Desk concert.
She chose that. She chose her fate.
Haven't seen her stuff.
She's incredible. She's so good. But her performance before the Super Bowl was so good. I literally,
really
I started tearing up. And then Jasmine Sullivan, who performed with the country singer. Do you remember they performed the national anthem?
Eric Church.
So good. It was incredible. I think that was my favorite part of the Super Bowl.
The real highlight was the guy, the signer.
Oh,
Wawa.
Yes.
What was his name?
Oh my gosh. Wait, let me look up his full
Stacy or
name.
something?
Yes.
I knew it was
He was
Wawa.
amazing.
John, you missed out on quite a show. I'm going to tell you that.
I'll
You missed
have to
out.
watch all this.
Yeah.
When you're out there working.
I know. Well, trust me, I didn't want to work, but
Well,
I think,
what
I
can
don't
you
know,
do?
some of it is, you know.
You think this whole Super Bowl thing will stick around?
Well, you know what's so funny is I was talking to somebody, and they not a football person, but whatever, and they were like, it's literally 2020, and we're still the biggest show on TV in America is still a football game.
Game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing too. And look, and I wasn't like a sports guy growing up.
Weird.
I don't have the same connection to sports that a lot of people do. Just like I probably have a stronger connection to music or performing or whatever.
For sure.
But it is like, it's this funny thing. You're like, oh yeah, those guys, and you know, there's a lot of points to argue like, oh, football players are getting paid like excessive amounts of money and they're playing football. You know, like we could go play football in the street, but they're doing it in representation of a team.
But couldn't you say this? Couldn't you say the same exact thing about musicians? There's on a stage,
of course.
You know, like,
and then you could argue, and this is where
this is like the peak
sports,
of athleticism in America.
I guess that's true.
Right?
Like,
Yeah, but
like
you want to know what's frustrating about the NFL specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it's
they're
rigged?
labeled a nonprofit. So
That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
No, they're not.
look it up.
I looked up the name of the ASL signer. His name is Warren, and then he goes by the name Wawa Snipe.
Wawa Snipe. That was
Snipe.
it.
Look up
The coolest name of all time.
Incredible, so good.
Yeah.
Is
Hey,
the NFL a
come on.
nonprofit? I'm
Okay.
98% sure.
research
it's
girl.
not.
Come on, research
Sorry,
girl.
I need my smart glasses. At corporate level, national considers itself a trade association made up of and financed by 32 member teams.
What's his classification?
Up until 2015, the league was an unincorporated nonprofit,
Got it. What is it now?
501c6
For-profit?
association.
Drag him.
But okay, first of all, let's
Dragon.
talk about for 50
Yeah.
years. It was a
2015.
nonprofit.
That's such a joke. I wonder.
What does that even mean? Like they
gave
didn't
all
have to
their
pay
money back
taxes?
to the teams.
No, they
No.
probably were like
Like
some
where-
BS.
Now it's
Like,
a
oh, we're
trade
giving
association,
we're
I
helping
think.
sports in schools or something. Because I think they do that too. They give back money to kids and
I hope so.
whatever. I don't know. Speaking of excess, I'm
Enough
going to
of football.
fully
Go ahead.
enough of this.
Pivot.
I'm going to pivot
Pivot.
as we wrap up our show here.
That's
I want
right.
to talk about we didn't talk about it on the show last week, but we talked about it afterwards. Chamberlain Coffee.
Okay, yeah.
I love her so much. I'm so glad
so
we're
we
doing
differ
this.
on this.
Yeah. So I don't
Okay,
know
yeah.
who this is.
Let's
I only
unpack
learned
that
about her
first.
last week.
We
So we're talking about.
we still watch her.
Okay, so there's
now.
a YouTuber named Emma Chamberlain.
Mm-hmm.
In case you don't know,
The fact that we're giving her airtime is already annoying.
Oh my god.
John is
I think
pissed.
you can tell from John's verbiage that he is not a big fan. Cara and I are pretty big fans,
And I don't know who it is.
She's a YouTuber,
Yeah.
and I don't even know how
We
she got
watched a
famous.
little bit
she was
of her
doing
last
vlogs,
week.
right, John? John was an
She
earlier
started
fan.
as I was an early fan. She
A
started
fan
as
scorned.
she started as a like normal YouTuber. She was
Just
making
doing
cooking
videos. Yeah.
She was talking about her life. She's
Yeah.
like a vegan. She kind of was like she's been like either a vegan or a vegetarian like since birth. Her parents like raised her that way.
How many
my gosh.
how many subs? How many subs she got?
Oh, now?
Oh, now she's a lot. But
Yeah,
when
let
I
me see.
watched her, she had like she was right around 250,000. She was in the early stages of million.
You were like
yeah,
a
that's really
Emma
early.
Chamberlain
Yes.
hipster. You
Wow.
were on the front lines of that one.
I thought she was great. Her content was funny. Her editing style was hilarious. Like she used all these cool zooms and like, and I thought she was great. I thought she was super original, and she was just like kind of saying it as it was, and I appreciated that. And then she moved to LA.
And got 9.87 million followers.
That's almost 10 million
Now
subscribers
she's
on
almost
YouTube.
10 million
Yep, subscribers on
and
YouTube.
she, in my opinion,
Dang.
I think she's a bit of a sellout. She kind of now is the LA life, and she like hangs out with all these like these TikTokers, and she gets like spray tans. Like you wouldn't even be able to
Now,
recognize her.
See, there's the question. Can you have it both ways? Can you
No,
be
okay.
a true Emma Chamberlain
So let me make a
and
case.
still have 10 million followers?
Let me make a case.
Yeah,
I
go
still
ahead.
think she's genuine. Her most recent vlogs, I like it because she starts off the videos with no makeup. She talks about her day. She's really funny. Like she just like says whatever she's thinking, and like I don't know. She's just funny. So I don't
Does she
think
live at one of
she's
those
fully-
houses full of?
No,
No,
she
she's
lives
a
by
creator.
herself in an apartment.
And okay,
I
I
can't
have some
stand that,
respect.
man.
I have some respect for her because she's only wait. Let me double check before I say.
She's like 18 or 19.
Yes. And she has this
She's
company.
hustling.
She has this company now, and her net worth is. Let me look it up. She's
I
only
like her
19.
John don't think so.
Because I think I've liked her a little better when quarantine started because
Yeah.
she has really turned into like a homebody from
Yeah.
what she posts. So I think she's
Back
gotten
to her
more back
roots.
to her roots because she's
Yeah.
been by herself and like filming herself.
Let me tell you
Going
what
out.
I think.
What do you
I think if she didn't change the way like her style and the way that she like looks, I would like her a lot better.
Okay, so my response to that would be she's only 19 years old. So she's trying new
So she
things.
sucks.
She's dyeing her hair. You know,
She's
she's
just like the
growing
worst.
up.
She don't know who she is.
She's growing up, and
I-
she's already worth $8 million.
I can appreciate that she's an entrepreneur and that
Yes.
she did pave her way. The problem that I have, again, I'll say, is that she's like what I used to love about her content is that she was different than every other YouTuber.
Yeah.
And now like she does have that foundational originality element, but I think what she's doing is she's conforming to the LA culture. She has all like this Gucci stuff.
Right.
And she's like getting, like I said, she's getting spray tans. I'm like, who is this?
I submit maybe she was always the worst, and given the right, the funds,
Environment.
the right environment, she just became who she really was, which was
became who
a
she
piece
really
of crap.
wanted
Yeah.
to be. And that's what's so frustrating is that the money has corrupted her, I think.
And I
Well,
think
there you
I
go.
think YouTube could do that to anybody.
That's
Oh,
why
I think
I'm sure I would be here in a full Gucci tracksuit if I had made
you will be.
I
You
hope to
mean
see that.
you will
I
be?
hope to see that
Yep.
someday.
Hey,
No, I'm just kidding. I just think like there's
Yeah.
so many things that you can use your platform for, and I think these YouTubers, Emma Chamberlain is exactly one of those. They get to a barrier where they can choose to be like, hey, I'm going to go the way, I'm going to stay at my roots, and I'm going to find a cause, and I'm going to donate money, and I'm going
Right.
to be like different than
Contribute
everybody
to
else.
society.
Or I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to turn into an LA.
And I see your perspective because I think vlogs in general can be kind of dumb, and I think it's annoying because it's like
anyways, check out my vlog this week.
except for Ryan's vlogs, I love
Those are
Ryan's
great.
vlog. No, but I
'Cause
think
you're
it's
in
cool.
them.
I think I like her coffee company because I like coffee. And
Let's talk about our coffee
Yes,
company.
so-
'cause
So
that's
it's
really
all-
what
This is
about.
the craziest part of the story for me is that this 18-year-old
19.
YouTuber, 19-year-old YouTuber
Is
has launched
as obsessed with coffee
as
as
I
you
am,
are.
as I am, and also came up with an idea that I also thought of first, but I'll get it. So she has launched Chamberlain Coffee, which is like also conceited. You named it after yourself. Family
It's
blend.
catchy. Come
Anyways,
on.
so I thought it was so ridiculous I had to buy some so we could try it on the show.
Just do it.
So great, here it is. I've been drinking it the entire time.
Secrets
Well,
out.
like
Secret's
the big
out.
thing about them is that they are tea bags.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you steep them
and
like
that was
tea.
my idea. It's a coffee tea bag.
It's
I
awesome.
came up with
For a while, I'll
that
be
years
honest.
ago.
I want to see the receipts on that one.
So
Okay, so give me
I
your
need someone
cup.
to
I'm gonna
make me
pour
something.
This
'cause
is
we
I
have
don't-
oat milk over here
this
too.
is a 24-hour
We're
cold
so
brew.
trendy.
Can you just hand it to Cara because she's the real
Yeah.
coffee master of this?
Yeah,
this whole-
barista. Can
Yep,
you?
sure.
Um,
Can you
Coffee
take this
master,
here? Yeah,
aka
coffee
barista.
master.
Wait,
And her
Everybody do
company,
Right.
her company, her
That's
coffee's all fair
Do you
trade.
want hot or do you?
I want
no.
cold.
No,
I
he's
want
gonna
hot.
want this cold brew. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just gonna pass that off
Tell
to
us
you.
about the company. Sorry.
Yes, no, that's okay. Her company's all fair trade and organic. So let me explain. I'll pull up her website.
Fair trade, which means they charge
This is the
twice as much
bag.
for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at how big the
They
bag
treat their
is.
workers.
You don't have to pull that out. Just
I
leave
know,
it.
but
Yeah, yeah.
Let me see.
Oh,
Look
there
at
you
it. It's
go.
a coffee bag.
It's a big coffee bag. So your idea was to treat coffee like
Well,
tea
like in a tea
bags.
bag, like an individual cup of coffee.
And that
Kinda
makes
like
it
a K-cup.
simpler.
do you want any milk in it or do you just want to try it black right now?
Oh, just give me. Let me taste it black real quick,
Aight.
and then I'll let you add the zhuzh.
I
It's-
also have
it is room temp because it's
some
been sitting in the
chestnut
studio.
praline syrup from Starbucks if you wanted to add that.
What do you think?
Yeah, hook that up.
Oh yeah. He's gonna need
Oh,
some,
yeah, oh, yeah.
some praline. Initial
Thank
you.
initial
Initial
thoughts.
thoughts of it black. Okay, listen. I think it's super smooth. I really like it. It's definitely got.
Nutty?
It's not as bold as I typically like cold brew,
Sure.
but that's also like ratio. You could.
Yeah,
figure that
maybe I
out.
made it wrong too.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
it's-
leave
you
you
did
some
great.
bags that
It's-
you can
you did
attempt
great.
to do it
Supposed to
better.
be like an 8-ounce. Like you only put it in an 8-ounce thing, which I
Well,
think this
But honestly,
that jar is.
Maybe a
I'll
little
tell
more.
you, I like it.
It's pretty all right.
I
How
think
is it, Ryan? How was it hot?
Hot. It was. I mean the same thing. Like pretty smooth. Like I'd say it's on par with a lot of like local roasters and everything.
Do I want
Just
some
like
of that? Sure.
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't know.
Hook it up.
I don't know if you like oat milk.
I'm a huge fan of oat milk.
Not super like acidy. Pretty as I don't know. How do you even-
Acidic. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
it's a
right on
mellow
par.
coffee.
It's really good. Here's what I'll say about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a great coffee taster
Connoisseur.
because it kind of and this goes for all foods and drinks. I tell all my closest friends this. If it tastes like it's supposed to, I'll eat it or drink it. Like I have no gauge on quality, really.
Me neither. Well, it depends. I don't like.
Yeah, right. You have gauge.
What do you
on
What do you
quality.
think? You've also been drinking it the whole show.
Yeah, I think it's a great cup of coffee.
No,
I
this
thought
is
it was a
bomb.
little minty. I don't know if that's just me.
It has
What
like
is
a
it
weird, like
on
kind
the
of
back?
herby.
It says something on the back.
Let me tell
It's
you what
cool.
it says
Let
on the
me
back.
let me read. So for coffee to be fair trade, it just means that the coffee farmers receive fair wages and a stable price for their product. So then it's covering the cost of being sustainable.
It's kind of a marketing thing, isn't it?
They could just put that
Well,
on there.
it's. I think it's solving problems.
non-blood
though, like,
diamonds, right? Like we know how coffee's getting made.
No,
There's
no.
people
But
being
it's about the
taken
farmers.
advantage
Starbucks
of out in the farm.
fair trade.
No
Yes.
way.
Yes.
No.
No way.
No, but this is specifically
Oh
fair
my
trade.
Okay,
God.
big,
Oh, we have a rep in the room
Big
right
coffee.
now, y'all.
big
You know what?
coffee is
Whatever.
here.
Big coffee.
Ryan, what's in the coffee?
It's
I'm
organic.
going to tell you what it says on the one of these little baggies here.
It's
It
sustainably
says
packaged.
It's steeped coffee bag, original family blend, medium roast, smooth and rich. Countries of origin: Colombia, Guatemala, and Nicaragua.
I
I like
like
that
it
it's-
better if it didn't come from a sellout. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it tastes a little
sellout-y.
bit
I like it that it's
LA
not. It's
smog.
not acidic
Oh my
to me.
God.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's
No,
smooth.
it's a great coffee.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
And like I said, my only problem with Emma, if she's watching or she happens to hear this, my only beef with her is that I wish that she would just like stop conforming to the trends. I wish that she would just be who she is.
I feel like the spray tan is the sticking point for you. You
You
didn't
know
like that she
what?
got a
You're
spray
right.
tan.
You probably just watched the wrong video because she has videos that are like, I'm going to be
All right.
like crazy, like fashion
I'll commit
beauty
to this.
today.
I'll watch her content in the next week.
Let me know what you think.
I'll come back with a new, fairly analyzed
Okay.
opinion on her.
Let me tell you, from the outside, when I just saw her Instagram post, I was like, "Oh, she's not it."
See, I used to follow her.
I thought it was annoying. I was like, she always posts pictures of herself.
check
Like,
her out.
I formed a whole opinion about her without even watching her videos.
Mm-hmm.
Then my good friend Charlotte Egan, shout out to Charlotte, was like, "I've been watching Emma Chamberlain's vlogs, and I think she's so funny." And I was like, "What? I don't know."
I don't know.
And then I watched them, and now I totally think she's cool.
I think the difference for me is like she's another vlogger, and she's not like a Casey Neistat. You ever seen Casey Neistat?
I have not.
Nope.
Epic vlogs.
Insane.
I don't. Does he make videos anymore?
Barely.
I think he
sold
retired.
a company. He sold a company for $50 million. So he's probably like,
Kind
Quick
of like
buck.
was the forefront of these epic vlogs where like the drone is like following the car and like
yeah,
just
yeah.
edited like master.
super
Yes,
high res, like
yes.
just
Dang.
really.
He's his schedule. We talked about schedules last week.
Yeah, yeah.
He did a video on his schedule like years ago, and he was like, he gets up at 6 a.m. because he has kids. He's married. He gets up at 6 a.m. He like goes to like fills his whole day. He gets home at like 9 or 10. He edits till like 2 a.m.
Oh.
Sleeps for 4 hours, and this is like when he was vlog. He's also one of the guys that started vlogging every single day. Every day he put a video out.
Oh my
and it
gosh.
he also like has come clean about it in his podcast about like it like almost ruined his marriage.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I bet. And your kids, when are you seeing your kids? Like if you
That
get
was,
home
he
at
talked
9
about
o'clock.
like seeing his life through the lens and not like experiencing his life, and that's I think he is all but retired. Like
Yeah,
Good for him.
he very rarely posts, but now like I remember he was one of those guys where like he was posting every day, and every day I'd come into work and I would like wait until his video dropped so that I could watch it on my first break. Because sometimes it wasn't like David Dobrik where it was 4.5 minutes exactly. It was like sometimes it was 5 minutes and sometimes it was 15, and he just like really gave you a sense of like grinding, and he was like a true creative. And it was like
Okay,
I remember
so-
thinking that it was super cool.
So if we're talking about David Dobrik, he's LA, but you'll
Oh,
still
yeah.
watch his videos.
I think that's like the and I can't speak for Emma Chamberlain, but like he is the epitome of like the spectacle for me.
He's
like
also not LA in the way that Emma's LA. David Dobrik wears like a black t-shirt, and yes, he has $1 million home, and I'll give you that.
9 million,
and a
right? Does
flamethrower
he
and
have
a
like
Tesla.
But he's
And a fleet of Teslas.
he is the shock jock of YouTube.
Yes,
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
Like we watch his stuff, and it's you know what you're tuning into.
It's
Yeah.
like you're going to the zoo, like to watch the lions like attack their
Yes, you
meat or
tune in for
something.
4 minutes and 20 seconds, and you know, and I can't say the same about Emma Chamberlain, that David has masterfully calculated every second of that 4 minutes and 20
That's true.
seconds.
Seems to
That's
be
true.
like it's just like
That's an artistry.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, if you're going to be an artist like Casey or David, be that. But if you're going to be a vlogger, at least stay true to your values, because your values is what you have in the vlogging sector. It doesn't. You
Yeah.
don't have the shock jock or the incredible editing quality that you have in
It's just you.
the creative side. You know.
Yeah.
You think about like, as a creator, like who decides what is the most you too?
Yourself.
Like you start going, oh, you
you
know what?
allowed to
I don't like doing these videos. I'm gonna
Yeah, are
only
you
do
allowed to
certain
evolve?
videos. I think so, right? And it's kind of like what we said about the Weeknd. Like you're just out here making your art. Like you just do like weird stuff, like try different things, and like somebody will latch onto it,
Right.
And will be like, yeah, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I
Yeah.
guarantee you, like, you appreciating her for the beginning, it's like she gained 10 million people that appreciate her for who she is now.
Yeah.
And
that's just it. She evolved outside of my interest.
Sure.
As a viewer, and that's okay. But I know we're over on time. So, but Emma Chamberlain coffee, yes or no?
I say yes. I mean, I think it's gimmicky, and it's definitely you're paying for the little logo on the front.
Was it expensive?
It was for 10 of these. It was like $25.
Yikes.
Like
I mean, for 10 though,
That's
you buy
$2.50
a
a piece?
$5 cappuccino.
that's
at
$2.50 for a
coffee
cup of coffee.
shops.
Now was that?
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's for an
And it's a
8-ounce cup of
good-
coffee.
It's a good cup of coffee though.
It was good. I
Gotta
won't.
say.
I won't
How
be
many
out here
ounces
saying
is
it was
this?
bad.
That
This
is
says-
16.
Oh,
Wait, what?
no, I
messed
Eight
up.
that's a no
ounces.
for me.
8 ounces is 4 ounces short of a Starbucks tall.
This says,
I think-
this says place filter in a cup and add 8 ounces of hot water.
Here's what I think.
Eight
Oh,
ounces.
that's what you're saying?
So
Yeah.
that's comparable to Starbucks.
A tall cup of coffee for $2.50.
That's $4.50.
A tall cup
This
of
is $4.50.
Is it not?
Of a grande cold brew.
$3.95.
Oh, is that
So
grande?
it's. I mean,
that's a grande. A tall hot coffee at Starbucks is $2.25.
now that's a Starbucks coffee. Now, mind you, this is like
Is that
if you
better
compare
or
it to
worse?
a can of Folgers, which is what I don't know, $15 or something. You get like 100 cups of coffee out of it.
But is it comparable to Starbucks?
But it's not
in
as
your
good.
opinion?
No. Well, is this
Good or bad? Better or worse? Than
at
Starbucks?
least on par? Maybe a little better.
I
than
think it's
Starbucks
better.
coffee.
Yeah, honestly.
I say
You
it's a yes for supporting businesses like this. I think.
Yeah, sure.
I think the
Fair
cause
trade
is-
coffee.
is-
That's great.
Now, am I going to order it for every day, single day?
No, no,
once every once in a while, I'll buy a pack of 10.
Yeah,
just to
totally.
So you can
cause.
throw it away just to like
So I
screw
can
you,
throw it
Spite
Emma.
Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I'm just kidding.
she got her business today, so
Yeah.
there you have it.
Wow, what a day.
Wow,
So
that was
much.
jam
We packed
packed.
in an interview with Jasmine Ruiz.
Yeah.
And we also talked about the Super Bowl. We talked about halftime. We talked about music.
Yeah.
And
Talked
we
about
ended on our
YouTube.
favorite topic.
Coffee.
and
Coffee and YouTube.
Oh,
David Dobrik.
Wow.
are we gonna forego our TikToks?
I don't want to, it's up to you. I have one good one.
Show us one.
Okay.
We're down.
It's that time.
What's the time on today right now?
Over.
If you made it this far,
This-
you're a real
This
one.
might be the longest one we've done.
Yikes, yikes, yikes. All right, let's see it.
It's happening.
hold
people.
on, hold
Let
on.
me get the sound ready.
Just wait 1 second while our video producer catches up here.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm
Here
ready.
we go.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yep.
And I never
Sick.
do it right.
Never do it right.
Here we go. This is a real
Here
one.
we go.
No, it's not.
Take your
So
time.
close.
We're doing great.
I
We are
make the
doing
same.
great.
I make the same
One of these
Every
mistake.
single
days,
time.
you're
I
gonna
need to
have
just
it
write it down.
nailed.
I need to just read some.
Oh, and your computer's about to die.
directions. Okay.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
My
Yes.
gosh. This guy's a genius. Whoa. Awesome.
So, listeners,
Yeah.
that was a TikTok of a guy just like printing out and cutting out pictures of people, things, and putting them like one of them was a George Clooney People of the Year. He put
Yeah,
it on
I'm gonna
his
do that in my
mirror
bathroom.
and like
That's
made
pretty good.
himself in
I'm
the
gonna for sure do that.
magazine.
Yeah, that's a great
He
one.
put
Hey,
Albert Einstein on a
on a little
what's it called? On a
as you blow.
oh my gosh.
And that's it, y'all. Thanks so
That
much for
is
tuning into What the
it.
Podcast. We will see you next week. I'm John, and this is
Ryan.
and we'll see you next week
We absolutely
on
destroyed that one. What the podcast?
See ya.
Gosh darn it.